Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be dropping the transmission on my 1980 Chevy C3 Corvette. Before I begin, I took the liberty of drawing up certain instructions for you guys. So you can see step by step, we're going to drop the exhaust, disconnect the battery, remove the shift ball, remove the parking brake pulley, disconnect our shift linkage, disconnect our clutch linkage, remove our U-joint bolt straps, support our engine, support our transmission, remove the speedo cable, drop our mid cross member, and then we're going to drop our transmission. So that's the step by step. And actually, I've already dropped my exhaust and disconnected my battery. Dropping the exhaust is not hard, but you should prepare for some difficulties. You really can't do this without dropping the exhaust, not on a 1980 car, because we're going to drop that mid cross member. You have to drop the exhaust. And when I drop my exhaust, this exhaust flange gasket thing, donut, broke. I had to go buy a new one from O'Reilly's. Additionally, down towards the end of the transmission, there's a 2.5-inch exhaust manifold gasket thing that you need to get and replace. Otherwise, you're going to have an exhaust leak. And I drove this thing around and it had exhaust leaks. That's not the greatest, so that's why we're going to replace that stuff. Also, be prepared to replace your exhaust studs. My exhaust studs were all rusty, and the bolts on the studs were not removable. So when you do your exhaust, and I kind of have a separate video of me removing these studs, you're going to have a short length one and a long length one. They sell a kit at AutoZone for $13 with 3 of the long ones and 3 of the short ones. So that's everything you need. It comes with nuts and washers and things like that. So I tapped the threads that these were in, and I cleaned them out, and I put the new studs in. You want to be prepared to do that if necessary. Some specialty tools here. This is stuff that you can live without. That 450-pound Pittsburgh transmission jack from Harbor Freight. This guy right here, that's super helpful. And that Daytona creeper, also from Harbor Freight, is also extremely helpful in terms of aches and pains. You definitely want a creeper. You don't know you want a creeper. You definitely want a creeper. So, because my battery's already disconnected and my exhaust is already disconnected, we're gonna go to step 2, which is removing the shift ball. So if I come over here, and I'm gonna set you guys up. Car's locked. That's so funny. Car is locked. I just replaced my power door locks. So my power locks work again. And actually, that's how I know that my car isn't plugged in, my battery is disconnected. Number 1, because I'm looking at it back there. Number 2, my power locks aren't working. And I just fixed those. So, battery's disconnected. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get in here, and you're coming with me. And you are going to, I'll hold you as best I can, unscrew this shift ball. Just lefty-loosey, comes right out. Boom. And you're gonna take your reverse lockout shaft and spring out, and you're gonna set it down in your passenger seat. Or if you don't want your passenger seat to get gunk all over it, you can set it down on your floor. It's just my spring's there, my ball's there, and my passenger thing is there. So now when we drop our mid-cross member, this is actually attached to it. This whole thing will come down with the mid-cross member. So when it comes to the shift linkage, all you need to do is disconnect it from the transmission. Disconnecting your shift linkage is actually pretty self-explanatory. Each of these shift linkages here, there's one above this, and here, this is your reverse, all are held in by this rod and a carter pin. So you just remove the carter pin, pull this out towards the underside of the car, and it comes out. You do that with these 3 rods and it gets disconnected. I also need to remove the 2 bolts on this and put it off to the side over there somewhere. Over here, so that's our shift linkage. Here is your 3rd and 4th. Here is your 1st and 2nd. Over here is going to be your clutch fork and your clutch rod. And you can see this is already disconnected. I might take this pin out and I might remove that. But basically this is held in the same way those are held in, with pins and rods. There's different versions of these. Mine is this rod system. This shaft goes through this, and then you put a pin in the bottom, and then that's all good. I actually need to replace my Z-bar. Part of my Z-bar bracket was damaged, so the Z-bar bracket is out of the car right now. So is the Z-bar. I'm not doing that today. The part hasn't come in the mail. It comes in the mail in 2 weeks. What I am doing is getting this Saginaw Munchie Super T10 4-speed out of here. Okay, I figured out something for you guys. I can put the camera in reverse and show you what I'm doing. So, selfie mode. This is the best I got for you guys. Basically, we take those Carter pins out, and these just come swinging down at you. So this one actually hit me in the face the last time I did this. Make sure it doesn't hit you in the face. The way these work is that this square here is threaded and pivots, and it has 2 lock washers on either end. I don't know if you can see that exactly well. You see this first washer here, second washer here. These can rotate up and down, so if you're having issues getting these back in, rotate them up and down. But also when you take them off, make sure that they are, you know, solid. That these aren't floating around, just moving around, because these are not meant to be, this bit, the square bit, is not meant to be jiggling around in there or doing anything crazy. So we want to make sure it's not doing that. I'm going to reach up in here to get you guys a better look at this and make sure that my transmission is in neutral. So these bars, there are bars up here, and you'll see them. When they are not in the middle, they are engaged. So right now, my transmission is actually in, what is that? 3rd gear. So that's not great. And we want to move that around for sure. So what do we got? We got 1st, 2nd. So here is neutral. And then now we can move this one around. That's 4th, that's 3rd, that's neutral. So this one back here was engaged. We put that one in neutral now. So transmission's fully in neutral, which is good. Now we want these all to swing down. All of these are swing. This is the reverse. This is the 3 and 4. Those have all swung down. They're all facing towards me now. I want to remove this, but I also want to remove my speedometer cable, and I want to remove my pulley, which is further back this way. There's a pulley over here. I'll show you guys what that looks like. But I already got a wrench together to go ahead and remove this. This is not in the instructions. I'm not sure if all cars have that. The one on my car isn't even functioning. So it's not even working. So I don't really feel like there's a point to showing you guys what that is. I am just not messing with it because, I mean, I think that's my neutral start, make sure-inator, whatever they call that. But I don't want to mess with something that I don't entirely understand or that I entirely know. This is part of the reason why you want to disconnect your battery, because you're getting in here and you're messing with electrical stuff. So don't be doing that. Don't be messing with electrical stuff that you don't know what it does, or if you can't fix that electrical cable, I probably could. I probably could fix this electrical cable. Not well, but I could probably do it. But if you can't fix the wire, then don't break it. It's a rod. This rod. Damn, this is really tough on me. There's a rod right here. This rod is what connects this, right? We need to remove a little pin on here. Could probably do it with my hand, so that's what I'm going to try. Is just getting finger in there. Actually, I have over here at my feet a pair of pliers. You don't want to pry on this because it is like spring powered. This little retaining pin that you've got in here. This is kind of difficult to put back into, so you know, there's no cure for stupid. I got it out anyway. Here's what that looks like. Let me see. See that? That. And then that little tab that's on there. You're basically gonna lift the corner of this that's split, and then you're gonna push it up and off. And then that frees the rod that is attached to this. You can see that rod. And now this is free to dangle wherever it wants. I'm gonna stick it over here. I have stuck it over there. Here's your speedo cable. This thing makes lots of vicious sounds when it's not doing its job. So you basically unscrew the collar that's on top of it, and then you just pull it right out, and it comes right out. You can see mine is really nasty, and I need to like spray some brake cleaner in there and then some white lithium grease. But the reason it's actually nasty is because my speedometer itself, the O-ring is just old and dog water. But we have our speedometer cable removed. We have our clutch linkage removed. We have our thing that doesn't work that may or may not be on other cars removed. So now we are going to, next steps, remove this pulley, disconnect the U-joint, disconnect the transmission mounts from here, and then pull the tranny. Well, disconnect the transmission mounts, disconnect 3 bolts on either side of this cross member, and then pull it, and then we pull the transmission out. First I need to go grab some tools to pull this, so I'm going to grab those, and then I'll come right back. All right, we're back. I have a 3/4 ratcheting wrench and a 3/4 non-ratcheting wrench. I'm going to take the non-ratcheting wrench and put it on the nut, and then take the non-ratcheting wrench and use it to hang on to this bolt. I really don't know what's going to happen to this pulley, or at least I don't remember what happened to the pulley the last time I did this. There we go. You can see that went forward just a little bit, but it's not like there was an immense amount of pressure that was on it. When I put this back on, I will take this spring out of here. So spring comes out. So now this is just hanging back here. When I put it back on, I'll take this cable, hang it up, and then put the spring back inside of it. So we're kind of going to work backwards, but the spring is always easier to put in than it is to take out. So, right, but this is out now. What I will do with a lot of the bolts on this car is I will take them and I will put them right back where I found them. So this pulley and this bolt are going right back in here. Same thing with this washer. Sorry, hang on. Out of my pulley came a bearing. We're just gonna stick that in there. I'll clean it up. I'll take some brake cleaner to this and wash it and make sure it's not all screwed up. Am I gonna do that right now? No. But I will do that. This is all gonna come out with the frame. Bolt goes through here. Cool. So take this, put it right back through, and then bolt everything up again, just the way that it was. You don't have to tighten it. We're just keeping the bolt here. You cannot misplace these bolts or disorganize these bolts if you are just putting them back where you got them. Parking brake, disconnected. So now the only thing hanging on to this rear subframe is going to be this transmission mount. Before we remove the transmission mount, we need to disconnect our U-joint bolts and straps. There's 4 bolts. I think they're 5/8. I am going to get the appropriate wrench for that, and I will be right back. All right. I've done my best to position you where you can see all 4 of these U-joint bolts. Basically, because I'm not sure I'm going to get in your guys' way, basically 2 on either end, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then what we'll do is you can see that this rear output shaft here that goes to the drive shaft, we're going to take this, we're going to knock it forward, we're going to bump it forward into the transmission, and that'll give us enough clearance to drop this rear drive shaft out. But first, we got to get these guys off. And as you can see, that might be a challenge because those are fairly stripped. The U-joint bolts on my drive shaft are fairly screwed up. So we're going to have some trouble, but hopefully it's not too bad. I'll try to center this guys for you guys. See what I'm doing. This is the same thing, lefty loosey, righty tighty. The threads on this, the bolts on this are actually 7/16. But I also have a flex head on here in case I need it. And you can see my drive shaft wants to spin. And I already disconnected our parking brake. So, that's definitely gonna pose an issue. That's definitely gonna be a pain in the butt for sure, because what you need to do is you need to put the parking brake on in order to get these U-bolt straps off. Oh boy, let's try. I'm gonna reach over here and put the transmission in gear, okay, and see if that doesn't help me get these U-joint bolts out. Hey, look at that. So I've only ever done work on one 1980 C3 Corvette, and it's mine. So if you need help, part of me wants to say, ask. The other part of me wants to say, good luck, buddy. I can barely help myself. Are you kidding me? You see this? So now we got this out. Maybe not that surface is what we want to bang on, but we want to try this. We want to take this and push it in there, but it doesn't want to go. Oh, maybe it's because we're in gear. Spinny spin. Spin, spinny, spin, spin. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this where they're both even and then push on this. While I support the drive shaft, I'm just going to push on it with my thumbs. Or if I can, I'm going to get a wrench. I'm going to wedge the wrench in there and use the force of the wrench to push that collar forward. So that collar is pushed forward now, and it's pushed forward fairly well, but one of my U-joints bound. My U-joint thing's on here bound. Okay, that's out. And now this drops. So I'm going to get in close, and I'm going to show you what goes on up here. All right. So, done. Don't know what you guys can see. Don't know what you can't see. Having a hard time helping you. Okay, this is the part that we just took the 4 bolts out of. This slides back and it slides forward freely. I used a wrench and wedged it against this, that part of it up in there, to push it forward. So now our rear drive shaft is disconnected. These end caps on your rear drive shaft, they come out and you can fully see the needle bearings inside of this component. You do not want those needle bearings to go anywhere. You want them to stay right here. Some people put tape on these. Mine is sideways like this. So I'm not really worried about either of these falling off and losing needle bearings. But it can totally happen to you, and you totally just don't want that to be something you deal with. So heads up. Either leave this horizontal or put tape on it. Do whatever makes you feel happy. I'm working on this old car. So what's our next step? Well, we got to support the transmission and support the engine. And then we got to remove our transmission mount bolts. And then we got to remove the rear subframe or the mid subframe. And then we pull the transmission. This is going fast, don't you think? This is a scissor jack from a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe. We're gonna use this to support the car. Well, we're gonna use this to support the engine with my handy dandy block of wood. That's all we're gonna do. Comes in super handy in case you need to raise or lower the engine when you're putting your transmission back in. We're gonna take this and we are gonna stick it just under the engine and spin this little guy up. But what's nice about this is if you need to, you can taste this and spin it down and you can lower your engine up and down. So definitely for raising and lowering the engine on one of these, I recommend a scissor jack. You also have to do this. You have to support your engine. The engine has 2 motor mounts up there. Your transmission has the 1 mount back here. Transmission goes into the bell housing, goes into the engine. The 2 of them are supported like 1 unit. So you cannot just take your transmission mount off and then support your engine, and then not support your engine, because your engine's just gonna wanna fall and you'll break your motor mounts. Or in the case of the C3, your engine will land on your hydraulic steering bar thing. I really don't know how that steering works yet. I'm gonna get there. I am. But you really don't wanna have to mess with any of that. So we're topping this out pretty soon on the engine. And all we're gonna do with this is just support the engine. We're not looking to move this. We're not looking to do anything insane. We're just, and that's it. This is hard to move, maybe a little harder to move. There we go. Engine supported. Now we gotta get our transmission jack. And then we gotta take transmission bolts out. So let me slide out here. This is what is so nice about this. Oh my God. Just slip sliding on the ground. It beats doing all the army crawling that you gotta do if you don't get one of these Daytona jacks or these Daytona crawlers. If you don't have a crawler, it's totally worth it. We're gonna take our Harbor Freight transmission jack and position it underneath of our transmission. I'm gonna give you guys a better angle of all of this. At least try to. So here's the Harbor Freight jack. My ratchet strap is facing me. Don't really know how the ratchet strap works. Should probably figure that out. We're gonna raise this. There we go. This side locked in. Other side also locked in. If you can't see it, now you can. Here's the trans. Doing my best to show you. I mean, there you go. Support the transmission with the transmission lift. It's really not that hard, guys. When you think about it, just center it on there. Now we need to take the strap and throw it up. Cranky, right? Now let's see Transmission supported, check. Engine supported, check. Now we are moving on to the next step, which is going to be these transmission mounts. There's two right here, and there's actually two more on either side of it. There's one up here and then one up on this other side that I'm gonna have to get to. I can't really give you guys the best angle when it comes to doing that, but I can tell you whether or not they're 5/8, and they are. So I'm gonna make sure that my transmission is supported, and I'm going to get these things off. Phone says low power. Let me try to show you. This exhaust hanger coming off of this goes in between the transmission mount and the transmission. So if you don't drop the exhaust, you gotta pull these bolts out. But since I dropped the exhaust, pretty sure all I need to do is just drop the subframe and then drop the transmission, and then the transmission will be out and we can go from there. My phone says low power, so I'm gonna give you guys a break while I get ready for the next step. We just took our transmission bolts out, and that was a big step for us. So now we gotta start dropping the mid cross member. So I got myself some 9/16 open-ended wrench. I got myself a 9/16 ratcheting wrench, and I got myself a 9/16 ratchet. You'll see a bolt on this side actually goes through to this side with a nut. So you know how this goes, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. We're holding onto the bolt with the open-ended wrench, and then we're using our ratcheting wrench. All right, this guy's out. I'll thread the washer back onto this for now. I will leave all of these components exactly in the order that they came out. I try to put the bolts back exactly where they came out. You know, the bolts want to go back home. The bolts don't like you. The bolts don't like being removed. The bolts are not your friend. Okay, don't get it twisted. It's nothing personal. That's just the way it is. And maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should support this mid subframe, but I don't. What I will do is I will face the camera that way. Can't really see me, but you can see the mid frame. That's what you guys care about. Same deals on the other side. Homelander would be upset with you if he saw you struggling with this. Frame is honestly in really good shape. So hopefully the work that we do doesn't change any of that. I'm supporting my mid frame. Maybe not the best. I can handle it. If you can't handle it, don't do it. There we go. Whole subframe is loose now. And like I said, we're just gonna pull all this down. Let it down easy. Boom, boom. A couple things going on over here. We gotta get this out, tilt it forward, and slide it on out. And this is just a piece of steel. Drag it across the floor. Stick it out here. Keep your shift linkage alive, obviously. And show you guys all it's out. Shift linkage comes out, it's all attached to the frame. Now the only thing holding that transmission is gonna be 4 bolts. One here, and then they're mirrored on the other side. I know this angle's not the greatest, but I really gotta think about myself here. So what I'm gonna do now, take those 4 bolts out, make sure that my rear output shaft isn't gonna fall out of my transmission. And then I'll get back to you with what some of our next steps are. But, I mean, you should see it. I'll see all of it just right here. Everything that's gonna happen in the next 20 minutes. Let me get a ratcheting wrench, one that's big enough for those bolts. We got our 3/8 over here. We got the big guy. I'm gonna start over here and then get over to that side. This is difficult for me to do in a way that you guys can see. It's already hard to do under the car. Cut me some slack, please and thank you. I don't know how I'm gonna get those top bolts out. Just kidding, I know exactly how I'm gonna get them out. All right. And then we take this, we stick it on there. Don't wanna be in your guys' way, but also wanna get the job done. So, pulling the transmission, we have to pry it out of the bell housing. We're gonna need a long flat head in order to get this out. I'll give you guys some more sights to see while I do this. I'll say please, please. Flow like water, sting like a bee. Oh, damn. This is hard, guys. That transmission, for all intents and purposes, is out. It just needs to slide back now. It's out. I'm reminding it, hey, come out. You're out. Get out of there. Remove yourself. Transmission. Screwdriver. Yep, bigger one this time. Sliding the transmission out front between the wheel and this. I just barely have enough room. Barely enough to get this out of there. And we still want to be super careful with this. 100%. And I need to be super careful with this jack that I took down. Super ultra careful. Okay. Well, guys, we're not mic'd up, but this is really upsetting, I guess. We're gonna need this transmission. For context, is already not in great shape, but when I reinstalled this in there, I just mangled my input shaft into those needle bearings that is inside the pilot bearing that I put in. I should have just got a pilot bushing. I'm gonna go get a pilot bushing now and install it, but that means that bell housing, clutch, flywheel all has to come off, which is really disappointing, and this really sucks. I straight up have no way to fix this. I am going to polish it, I'm gonna throw a bushing in there, and I'm gonna hope for the best, because that's all I can do. I would advise you not get a pilot bearing. I would advise you just get a pilot bushing. Bushing would not do this. Would not do this to the car, so yeah.